Hey, Chapel students, how are you guys doing? My name is Zachary Cummings. I am our student pastor at our McHenry campus, and it is so good to be with you via video. Last night, we were in week 2 of our series called Philippians, and week 1, what we did was we talked about how Paul is in prison, right? And he's writing from a place of humility, and he's actually telling us to continue to be humble. And a lot of times it can feel like we can boast in things, right? But we actually need to, as Christians, we need to have humility, and we need to live out our value of being third, right? We need to put God first, we need to put others second, and we need to put ourselves third. And we just talked about some of the challenges and how that can be really hard at times, and it can be really difficult to actually live out being third. And last night we jumped into week 2, and we talked about how as Christians we need to keep growing, and as believers we need to continue to search after Jesus, and we need to continue to try to be more like Jesus every single day. Well, we started off by talking about the food chain of maturity and growing up, right? That when you're in 5th grade, that you are the big dog at school, right? You are the top of the food chain. You guys are the cool kids. 5th graders are the ones who's running the show. They're telling the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th graders what to do, how to do it. Everyone's looking at the 5th graders for direction. Everyone is looking at the 5th graders as, oh my goodness, they're in 5th grade. But then something happens, and a 5th grader then turns into a 6th grader, and all of a sudden you're at the bottom of the totem pole again. Well, then you go up, and then you're in 8th grade, and you're the big dog, and then you're a freshman. And then you climb the ladder, and then you become a senior in high school, and then you are at the top, you are at the peak. We talked about maturity a lot, and how maturity is actually kind of a strange thing, and how maturity is actually something that's observed. It's not something that is necessarily, it is something that's observed, not announced, right? You don't have to announce your maturity. You don't have to announce that, hey, look at me, I'm so mature. But it's something that's observed. Your parents can begin to see that you're maturing. Your small group leader can begin to see that you're maturing and learning how to grow and learning how to deal with the problems that you're going through. The second interesting thing about maturity is that maturity should never be a weapon to those around you who are less mature. It should actually be a gift, right? It should never be a weapon. You shouldn't ever look down on someone because of their maturity or use that to weaponize them. You shouldn't use your maturity to weaponize other people, but actually use it as a gift. Pull the people up around you. A lot of times we see Christians who are mature in their faith, they actually isolate by themselves. What I want to encourage you, Chapel students, is I want to encourage you to bring those people, to bring the spiritually immature close to you, and to be able to disciple them and to walk alongside them, not to push them off to the side, not say, hey, you figure that over there, but hey, come join us. Let's figure this out together. And thirdly is we actually know that the mature Christian is someone who hasn't arrived, right? That we're actually in this process of growing together. We're actually in this process of maturing. And the hard thing within maturity is we can compare ourselves to other people, right? We can look at other people and we can say, well, I'm way more mature than them, so I'm actually in a good place. Or we can do the opposite and say, well, they're so much more mature than me, and I'm actually in a really bad spot. Or we can sometimes let comparison allow us to get away with some sins that we've been dealing with, right? It's like, well, I'm only gossiping. Like that person is sinning in way bigger ways, and so I think I'm okay because I'm only gossiping. And then the second thing that we compare is we actually compare ourselves to ourselves and say, well, I'm so much better than what I used to be. I still gossip a little bit, but it's not as much as what I used to be. When truly the only person that we should be comparing ourselves is to Jesus, right? Jesus is the comparison. We walked through Philippians 3:3-4, which Paul actually lays out and talks about how he's done some amazing things, incredible things. But what's even more incredible than that is what Jesus Christ has done for him. Then we walked through Philippians 3:7-9. And Paul actually says that, hey, I did some incredible things, and I actually thought that those were really valuable, but he actually calls it garbage, right? He's like, those things are worthless. Those things are pointless. Those things are unnecessary, unneeded in my life. Jesus is so much greater. And he begins to lay out this idea that the things that he's done for Jesus in comparison to what Jesus has done for him doesn't even compare. And he begins to talk about how amazing Jesus is He begins to lay out and show us that his primary pursuit was Jesus, to know Jesus more, to love Jesus greater every day. That was Paul's primary pursuit. He wanted to be more like Jesus every single day. And he challenges us to do the same, right? He says, hey, I've done some amazing things, and I'm sure that you guys watching this video have done some amazing things, but Paul wasn't satisfied with the things that he did in life. He wanted to continue to be more like Jesus day after day and to continue to strive to be more like him. Philippians 3:15, Paul says, let all who are spiritually mature agree on these things. And so he's saying, hey, let's agree on this process together, that we're going to become more like Jesus every single day, that we're going to spend time in Jesus' presence every single day, and that we're going to continue to be more like him daily. So we have 3 application points from the rest of Philippians 3 that helps point us to Jesus and helps point us on a path of being more like him every day. The first thing is that we actually need to hold on to the ground that we've already gained, right? Hold on to the ground that you've already gained. That means that God has brought you through some amazing things, that you all have a testimony, and that Jesus has done some incredible things in your life, and he's helped you stop sinning in some areas, and he's helped some of the messiness. And so hold on to that ground. Hold on to that ground. Don't go back and forth. Don't be slipping back and moving back and then going forward and then moving back, right? We're not spiritual yo-yos, right? Going up and down, but be on a steady path towards Jesus. The second thing that we talked about is that we need to follow good examples. And what I would encourage you as you're watching this video is that if you don't have good examples in your life, ask your small group leader, ask your parents, ask people to walk alongside you within this. Ask your parent, ask your small group leader, ask your student pastor to sit down with you, to read scripture, and to spend time with you. And then lastly is that we need to hope in Jesus. There's so many things that we can hope in, right? You can hope in finances. You can hope in getting to the college that you wanted to go to. You can hope in getting a good grade. You can hope in getting a new car. And those things are going to lead to unsatisfaction. The only thing, the one true thing that is going to bring satisfaction is hoping in Jesus. So we need to make sure through this process to hope in Jesus. And so you all watching this video, I'm sure you've came such a long way in your faith journey. I'm sure that you've come so far in your journey and your relationship with Jesus. But what I want to encourage you is to keep going, to keep growing, and to keep becoming more like Jesus every single day, and to celebrate the ways that Jesus has been moving in your life. And so hope you guys jump into an awesome conversation with your parents or whoever you're watching this video with. See you guys next time.